Hello everyone, I welcome you all back to this channel. Now a recap of the last episode. So it was during this vulnerable phase that Elisha entered Elsie's life. Elisha was the kind of man who could charm an entire room without even trying. He was tall, dark-skinned, with a smooth, deep voice and an air of confidence that made women swoon. When Elsie first met him at a workshop event, he approached her with an ease, his words flowing like honey. "I've been watching you," he said, with a bright smile on his face. "You have the kind of presence that's hard to miss. I'm Elisha, by the way." Elsie blushed, uncharacteristically shy under his intense gaze. Elisha was persistent, calling her the next day and asking her out to dinner by the weekend. On their first date, he was full of compliments. Within a month, Elisha proposed. It was during a romantic weekend getaway to Labadi Beach. As they sat on the beach, watching the sunset, he pulled out a ring and knelt down on one knee. "Elsie, I've never been more certain about anything in my life. Will you marry me?" Elsie's heart raced. She barely knew him, but he had been so perfect, always saying the right things, always making her feel special. And wasn't this what she had prayed for? A man who loved her and wanted to commit. "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Her family and friends were ecstatic. Finally, Elsie was joining the ranks of married women. Her mother, Auntie Grace, immediately started planning the wedding, calling relatives and vendors before Elsie had even processed her decision. But deep down, she felt uneasy. She pushed the feeling aside, telling herself it was just nerves. "It's what I've always wanted, duh," she repeated, trying to convince herself. The first few months of their marriage were blissful. Elisha showered Elsie with gifts, took her on trips, and introduced her to his cycle of influential friends. On the surface, it seemed like a dream, but soon cracks began to appear. Elisha's charm started to feel overbearing. He was no longer just attentive, he was controlling. "Why are you wearing that dress? It's too short. Why do you still hang out with those single friends of yours? You are a married woman, for crying out loud." At first, Elsie brushed it off, thinking he was just being protective. But his criticism grew harsher and more frequent. He began monitoring her phone, questioning every call and text. When she spoke up, he'd say, "I'm only doing this because I care about you. Why don't you understand?" Her once vibrant world became smaller. She stopped going out with friends, afraid of Elisha's disapproval. She started dressing more conservatively, hoping it would stop his comments. When Elsie got pregnant a year into their marriage, she thought it would bring them closer. But Elisha became even more critical. He complained about her weight, her mood swings, and even how she decorated the baby's room. "You can't do anything right," he muttered one evening, slamming the door behind him. Elsie felt trapped. She had no one to turn to. Her friends, who once envied her marriage, were too busy with their own lives, and her family refused to hear anything negative about Elisha. "You should be grateful," her mother said when Elsie tried to confide in her. "Elisha is a good man. Stop being ungrateful." When their daughter, Franca, was born, Elisha's behavior didn't improve. Instead of celebrating their new chapter, he used their child as another tool to control Elsie. He insisted she quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom, berating her when she refused. "You care more about your career than your family, isn't it?" he accused. Elsie, once full of life and independence, became a shadow of herself. She stayed in the marriage not because she loved Elisha, but because she feared the judgment of others. "What will people say if I leave?" she thought. "I can't bear the shame." 3 years into her marriage, Elsie was no longer the vibrant woman she once was. Her days revolved around keeping the peace with Elisha, raising their daughter Franca, and trying to maintain the facade of a happy wife. On the rare occasions she ventured out, she plastered on a fake smile, careful not to let anyone glimpse the turmoil inside. One humid Saturday afternoon, a mutual friend from her university days, Sharon, invited her to a wedding in Tema. "You've been so distant, Elsie," Sharon said over the phone, "You need a break. Come and have some fun. It will be like old times." Elsie hesitated. She wasn't sure if Elisha would approve. But when he gave a disinterested grunt at her mention of the wedding, she took it as permission. The wedding was a lavish affair, complete with a live band, gold-accented decor, and a sea of well-dressed guests. Elsie wore a stunning emerald green gown, one of her favorites from before her marriage. It clung to her curves in all the right places, reminding her of the confident woman she used to be. As she moved through the crowd, catching up with old friends and acquaintances, she had a voice she hadn't heard in years. "Elsie!" She turned and froze. Standing before her was Aaron, her ex-boyfriend from university. He looked the same, yet different. His build more muscular, his face more mature. The boyish charm she had fallen for had evolved into a confident, refined presence. "Aaron!" She breathed, her heart racing. They stared at each other for a moment before Aaron broke into a grin. "You look amazing," he said. "It's been too long." Elsie felt a rush of emotions. Nostalgia, excitement, and something else she couldn't quite name. They quickly fell into conversation, reminiscing about their university days, laughing at old memories. Guys, do you think this is going to end well for Elsie? Now she's met her ex-boyfriend. What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll be right there. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.